welcome to Speedgaming. This is your boy LV Creed here, bringing to you another installment of the Mega Man 2 Randomizer Tournament for this Speedgaming Live 2023. And ourselves set up here this time. We've long have been concluded with the group stages. Now we have started the bracket stages. And we have a couple of them done, but now we're on our third. Today we got Zneip and Arispici going against each other. I believe this is the first time they have met each other in tournament play. So we're gonna see how these boys handle each other out as we're about to begin our race. The race time has been set, so our boys should be heading up to the races very shortly, as soon as, the usual, let stream catch up to us and we'll get things going on in proper fashion. So, for those that are wondering what's the setup for this tournament, of course, this is Mega Man 2 Randomizer, so a crap ton of things are randomized, but as for the rule set, as both of our boys are going to Quick Man stage, who's repping the kangaroo outfit this time around. This is any percent easy zipless. Easy because, trust me, if we put it on quote-unquote normal, it's going to be a bit of a rough go for our boys, since it's set up like the difficult modes of the Japanese and the difficult US. But it's also zipless, so any and all zips are pretty much outright banned. Any zips, depending on the zip type, will be dealt with either with a time loss or an outright disqualification. But for right now, we got both Ari and Zneip making quick work of Quick Man stage. Going through the force beam section should be relatively no problem for them. Of course, we go to Quick Man first, not necessarily because it's the easiest stage, but mostly also because of the fact that we do get an easy access E-Tank and a little bit of extra goodies to make some of the traversal throughout the sea a little bit more tolerable, as we get our canned chickens for the last stretch of Quick. Zneip is first to the boss door, Ari very much right behind him. And our first Raw Master, we got a metal siding, and he's a little bit of a tough boy, but Zneip is making quick work out of him. Ari getting a little bit of trouble, getting some high jumps from metal. Definitely not southwest to the Buster, but still able to take him out in short order, just a few seconds behind Zneip. Of course, we did not find our items. For this randomizer, items 1, 2, and 3 are randomized within the 8 robot masters in the game, so they can literally be anywhere. It's just right now they weren't in Quick. Will we find it in Flash? We will not know. Zneip wisely checking out the crash walls. The crash walls is weak to any given one weapon. And Buster definitely could have been an option, but Zneip found out that it's not weak to the Buster, so keep it on moving. Pretty sure Ari has checked the same thing. Zneip opted to check the weapon that he got from the Quick Man stage, which wound up actually being vanilla Quick Boomerang. Of course, Quick Boomerang has a little bit of a weird trajectory. In this randomizer, weapon attributes are randomized, so you don't know what kind of attribute or gimmick that a weapon will get at a given time. They opted to stay up, opting to use pause buffer strats to make sure that he stays up. One of the new additions to this randomizer is we have upgraded our pausing ability, as Ari's takes a little bit of a lead while Zneip took the detour to get that E-Tank, and we found a vanilla Flash. repping a little bit of a sprite from another ROM hack that I unfortunately have no knowledge of remembering at the current moment. But Ari taking that Flash out in short order and gets a vanilla item 3 from Flash. Trust me, everything is randomized. You saw that we had Metal earlier and quick. Meanwhile, they've been struggling just a little bit trying to get this Flash done. It was a short jumper and was able to time freeze a little bit sooner than you probably would expect. Anyway, we got a slight deviation between our runners. We got Ari going to Metal, which is a pretty good selection for Zipless. Another stage that you can also arguably start because it also has the easy E tank, but you will not have the benefit of using item 2 for the final stretch. It's stages like Metal that you'll like to save a little bit later so you can maximize some item utilizations, but it's not as important as like in other stages like in Flash, not Flash, but Crash and Heat, where items will definitely be beneficial to make the stages go faster. Meanwhile, we got Zneip in Bubble Man stage. As you can see, we have Zneip going the long run. Like he said, this is a zipless tournament, so the bubble zip is banned, but we also kind of did some finagling with the coding of the randomizer, in which if you do try to perform a zip, you will be ejected to the left instead of to the right, which will make the zip for bubble and some other ones a little bit more useless. Of course, since you are zipped to the left, there are some situations where zips can wind up benefiting you, but they're way minor compared to stuff like wood and bubble. Meanwhile, we got Danky Kang representing our Woodman in Metal Man stage. Solid feet to the Buster, so a very quick fight on Ari's end. Wound up having to use the E-Chain because he was low on health. Definitely wise on Ari's part. Meanwhile, we got a Buster Weak bubble in Bubble. Zneip taking a little bit of a risk, chased them to the top of the room. Almost got clipped by the spikes, but was able to survive and take out Bubble. Ari's about to go to some familiar territory. We already saw Bubble on Zneip's end. Meanwhile, Zneip is going to Woodman, one of the longer stages. And once again, without items to make these stages shorter, you're just gonna have to deal with the long walk and hope that your opponent doesn't get any kind of item augmentation to make the stages faster, to kind of like offset out of the lead or offset the lead or buffer it. They're about to use the quick boomerangs to take out these frienders. Take a little bit of boomerang shots to destroy, but it's still able to be quick enough to progress on without too much trouble. Meanwhile, Ari taking on the final stretches of Bubble, dealing with some surprise crabs, but these crabs seem to be very easy to kill, as well as the frogs, so pretty much a pretty straight shot straight to Bubble Man's room, where our vanilla Bubble Man does away. Meanwhile, at the top of the treehouse on Zneip's end, a lot of shot men and some more crabs along the way. So both our runners dealing with a little bit of a crab infestation. Zneip a little bit worse for wear, but he should have at least one E-tank in storage just in case, so he can hopefully survive. It would be a very, very traumatic situation if Zneip winds up dying right before the boss room in... Yep, there we go. Probably in the E-tank to hopefully ensure that he has safe traversal straight to the Woodman corridor, as Ari follows suit on Zneip's heels, even though Ari is in the lead, going to Woodman stage. But it's a very proper music in Hornet Man's theme. Instead of the garden, we're going to the woods. Meanwhile, we do have our Kangaroo Jack Quickman sighting in Woodman's room, trying to use a weakness. Holy mackerel! Zneip finding one of our best possible situations. So, in terms of weaknesses, there are a couple of Robot Masters that have very, very devastating weaknesses. We like to call those great weaknesses and ultimate weaknesses. Great weaknesses and ultimate weaknesses, at least as far as easy mode goes, they will destroy our Robot Masters in 2 shots. The number will change if we go into the harder difficulties, but for easy, finding stuff like that is very critical, especially for refight information. So quick on quick violence wind up being very beneficial to Zneip, and hopefully he will remember that when we go to our refights. Meanwhile, Ari's already taking care of the treehouse, about to go to the final sets of screens, hopefully going to that quick man room. Hopefully maybe finding that same weakness that Zneip found. Of course, with the chance of him being Buster South weak, it'll definitely be beneficial. But we're about to find out in a little bit. Meanwhile, Zneip once again going to familiar territory in metal. We already saw Ari go through metal. So nope. Yep, of course you're gonna find it. With Quickman being not south weak to the Buster, Ari just instinctively checked off on weapons, and of course instantly finds the quick boomerang, which is of ultimate weakness strength, and just quickly dispatches of our Kangaroo Jack Quickman. Meanwhile, Zneip is about to fight our Kong Dong in Metal Man's room, trying to use the crash bombs to pierce through the banana shield, but finds that there's still no match with the regular Buster. Excuse me, not too far behind Ari. Both of our runners following each other, going to air, where unfortunately items 1 and 2, probably our 2 most important items, still MIA, and we still got Crash and Heat looming. You would definitely would like to have, say, item 2 for Heatman at the very least, but you'll definitely like to have item 1 for Crash to make some of the platforming a little bit more tolerable. As you can see, Ari is just a little bit over half a stage ahead of Zneip at the current moment, trying to keep that lead intact as much as possible, utilizing every strat that Ari has learned from his experience from the randomizer to make sure that he can pad his lead and hopefully gain a match 1 victory. As you get a Crashman sighting in Airman's room. Once again, ooh, that might have been, I didn't see Ari's cell, that might have been an accidental E-Tank use, trying to get to the quick boomerang, which is a south weakness for Crash. So, do we have an item, or do we have a worst case scenario? Ooh, Ari getting probably a little bit happy. That definitely will influence his routing for the final 2 stages. Right now, our items are in vanilla spots. We have item 3 in Flash and item 2 in Air, which Zneip should be getting after he takes out Crashman in Air. Will we find item 1 in Heat? We're about to find out as Ari is traversing Heatman's stage, taking care of the seafood buffet in the oven. Meanwhile, Zneip is kind of struggling on this Crash. There we go, popping once again. We're trying to survive here. We don't want to get ourselves in a situation to put us further behind. So wisely he took the E-Tank to make sure that he survives the Crashman fight, but unfortunately he will not have any E-Tanks for the remaining stages. And he opts to go Crash rather than Heat. So a bit of a deviation here between our runners. This could determine a lot. Once again, item 1 is still at large, and while our items have been in vanilla locations, it's not guaranteed that it's in here in Heatman stage, which would eventually benefit Ari. So we're pretty much working on the 50-50 here, as Ari's should have the item 2 equipped and is about to do the legendary item 2 fly over these Yokus, well, under them, and gonna go straight into the Heatman corridor. Meanwhile, Zneip is dealing with arguably one of the worst configurations for these moving platform rooms, as these shrimp will snap you under these ladders. But fortunately, as I was trying to allude to earlier, we buffed our pausing ability. During this tournament, we update the flag settings where pausing not only gives you the ability to cause knockback cancels, but you can also cancel out weapons, which definitely was not a feature in the vanilla Mega Man 2. As Ari takes out our hot air in Heatman's room, and Item 1 has been confirmed to be in Crash. So we do not have a vanilla item configuration for this seed. So that means Zneip will be rewarded with Item 1 as soon as he gets out of Crashman stage. It will definitely be a benefit in Heat, so you can manage your Item 2 usage. However, that still means that Ari is going to be forced to use most of his Item 2 in order to try to get through these rooms quickly. And there Ari goes, doing the knockback pause canceling, as these shrimps are ruthless in these screens. As to note, since I hadn't talked about it, you can always tell, well, almost always tell which enemies are going to be in these specific rooms that Ari's are in when you go to the very first screen, in Crash. Once you see those enemies, or often than not, will be the enemies you'll be facing in those moving platform rooms. Meanwhile, Zneip is fun that Heatman is soft Buster Week, but Heatman was pretty unwilling to let himself be exposed. So his fight took a little bit of time. In the meanwhile, Zneip is finally going to Heatman. Ari's about to take care of that final climb, but Ari is in a very precarious state. I don't think he still has no E-Tank, so I think there were Chanky Makers here. Oh yeah, this could be bad. Yep. He did not have the energy to sustain a Chanky hit. There is a situation where you can possibly attempt to pause buffer and try to iframe pause buffer through the Chanky Makers. That's usually like a Buster only strat, but is usually really kind of hard to do so. And as a result, things could possibly be evened up by the time our runners get to the Wily stages. We'll see in a moment as Zneip is utilizing that Item 1. Once again, while it's definitely more beneficial in Crashman stage, you definitely see its benefits here, so you don't have to wait for the Yoku blocks to climb over these very tall pillars. Meanwhile, Ari using the pause canceling for the weapons that I talked about earlier to make sure that Item 3 is able to be back on screen as quickly as possible, so he can make that crash climb a little bit more swift. So for right now, it seems like thanks to the death on Ari's end, Zneip is about to be the first one to be out of our 8 Robos. Airman was a bit of a softie. Wisely pops in that E-Tank because he ain't avoiding damage. And there we go. Heatman down on Zneip's end as we finally get our Cossack sighting. Cossack being the villain two games early as our Dr. Wily stand-in. And of course, you know what time that is. For those that aren't familiar with how we like to mess around with Mega Man 2, we got ourselves a little bit of a game we like to play as Ari takes care of Crash and gets his item 1. We got a Mecha Dragon that we like for you to guess. So, for all the people in the chat in Speed Gaming, we would like for you to either guess the color, the weakness, and we got a set of sprites for you to choose as well. The Mega Dragon does have the randomized sprite, and it is as follows. Of course, we have our Vanilla Dragon. Of course, Wise on Snape for turning around. The birds will always appear in the direction that your player character is facing, so that's why Snape turned to the left. But yes, we got a Vanilla Dragon. We got an Evil Eyes Dragon based on Rockman of Constancy. I will let you know when I see it. We also have a Shades Dragon. A dragon with a pretty neat pair of sunglasses. We got a Dragoncorn. A dragon with a unicorn horn. We got our ever-loving Oats Dragon. And finally, we also have a Pure Swag Dragon. So for those that want to have a little bit of fun, put those guesses in chat for the sprite, the color, and the weakness. As Snape is about to quickly head up to the dragon, and we're about to see what special little dragon we're about to have ourselves for match 1. Ari is not too far behind, goes in the gap pretty quickly, sits a couple of screens behind Snape. That is a Sage Dragon. And I'm gonna say that's Lavender. Hard to tell with different sets of screens. But if you said Crash, pat yourself on the back, you got at least one of 3 potential weaknesses correct. Well, on Ari's screen, it's definitely Lavender. So if you guess Lavender, good on you. And he also finds Crash. Oh, he almost had a good shot to do the explosion. Do the quick kill with the explosion. If Crash is a weakness and the randomized explosion duration... No! Oh, Snape saving his own bacon. That definitely would not have been a thing if this was vanilla. The item 2 would have been out. You would not have been able to pause out of it, and that would have been Snape's end. And we could have had a much more even situation on screen as Ari's now doing his item 2 fly. But as I was trying to allude to for the Mega Dragon, the explosion duration that you see on Snape's screen with the crash bombs, they are random, and if you get a good explosion duration and the crash bomb is a weakness, you can basically quick kill the dragon, since all of Wily's bosses have no iframes. Meanwhile, Ari, with his E-Tank deficit, opts to check wall weakness and go for the E-Tank safety, finding out that quick boomerang is the weakness for the walls. I think Snape opted to just go straight ahead, so he currently does not have that information right now. Meanwhile, we got our Blob Pico Pico units. These should look like it was a good weapon to use. It definitely did damage, but if it's not one shot, you ain't using it. So he goes straight to Quick Boomerang. Quick Boomerang is a solid choice for weakness every time for its low ammo count and high number of energy of use to begin with. But you gotta be careful, the Picos hit hard. If he gets a little too greedy, he can wind up taking an unfortunate death as the Picos hit hard. But fortunately, the Snape was able to take him out cleanly. Is now on his way to Wily 3. Ari starting his Pico fights. Finds the Quick Boomerang, and he should be done with this stage in short order as well, right behind Snape. They're going into some very questionable waters in Wily 3. We had some Mega Man 4 style Metroid enemies flooding the area, but not too much as to warrant any kind of issue. So it shouldn't be as much an issue for Ari either, as Ari definitely needs to find a way to continue to catch up. Zneip holding on to his lead as he's about to go straight to the guts tank. And let's see what... Ooh, Ari taking a fall! It looked like the jump button did not activate, either didn't activate or got eaten as it takes to death. Meanwhile, we get a guest Technodrome. One of our few newest additions to the sprite swapping pool. Finding Metal Blades to be one of the weaknesses for our Technodrome tank. Its name exits out of Wily Stage 3. Pretty clean, pretty clean. Ari's about to go into our Technodrome fight as well. Will he find the Metal Blaze or will he dig for another weapon? Once again, there are two potential weaknesses for the Guts tank. The third potentially being Buster, which we already know is not it. As Zneip begins to climb in Wally 4. Starting to find a weakness. Taking front page. Front page ain't doing it. Finally finds the Metal Blaze. Finding a little bit slower than Zneip, so Zneip taking a little bit of time extra from Ari as you're about to see what's in our anxiety rooms for our moving platforms. Zneip with about half a stage lead as Ari entering Wally 4. Looking safe so far, but we do see a Pyroboss sighting. If a Pyroboss spawns on the right side of the screen where Zneip is about to be on transfer, we could have some issues, but fortunately, once again, with our newest pausing abilities, it's not as much of a danger as it would have been, as it was if we didn't have that ability around. But fortunately on Zneip's end, there was literally no one on the right side of the screen, so Zneip had relatively safe passage through the rest of the area. Up. Is Ari safe? Ari is safe. The hole for that room that leads to the spikes is randomized. So Ari was taking a little bit of a gamble jumping a little early. The hole definitely could have been right at the very end of the room. Meanwhile, Zneip is going to the Boo Beam room, checking wall weaknesses, wisely using the charged version of Heat to make sure that it was a wall weakness. But we already know that it is Quick Boomerang. But as always, we always check our potential God weaknesses, so we hopefully don't even have to worry about using walls to begin with. Does find Quick Boomerang in short order, but for those that aren't in the know, the wall weaknesses will never be the same as the Boo Beam turret weakness. And Zneip does find air as the weakness. Unfortunately, it wasn't a vertical shooting air, so it couldn't be the God variant of air for the Boo Beam turrets. Meanwhile, we got Zneip going first into the refights with a theme that is supposed to go with anything and everything. Zneip is going to have a pretty decent leg up on Ari. It's pretty much going to take a bit of a disaster in order for Ari to try and catch up to Zneip. As Ari's taking a little bit of time to find the weakness, pretty much skipped air for quite a bit, finding it at the last second, so his Boo Beam fight in comparison to Zneip's was quite slower. Ari finally taking out the Boo Beam turrets. while Snape using that information you found earlier, finding out that Quick Boomerang annihilates our Kangaroo Jack Quickman. So Snape is halfway through our refights while Ari is starting his first. While anything can happen, the odds are pretty much stacked on Snape's favor for right now. It's all going to depend on execution and memory and a little bit of luck determining how to deal with our robot masters as far as weaknesses and just remembering all the weaknesses you found prior and utilizing them for our refights. Look like DJ Metalman decided he had enough of Gauss theme. It just completely changes it back to Hydrosity. Metalman is picky about his music choices. Ari going a little bit on the wild side. Fortunately, he has plenty of E-tanks in order to survive most fights, but Snape getting a little bit spicy. Taking a death on Flash. Allowing Ari to catch up. But he finds Crash very quickly as a weakness. Pretty much bandaging the time bleed. And trying to finish off Donkey Kong here. And go to our Roller Machine. Where the name of the game is he weak to the Buster? If he's weak to the Buster, it's weak for both phases. But the chances are usually not high. And they definitely aren't this time. So Snape is trying to find a weakness and already finds the weakness for the first phase with the air shooter, but it's not weak for the second phase. So off to digging. Ooh, is it Crash? But not sure if it's Crash. He's going back to it. Oh, is it Crash? It looks like it is Crash, but he's having a hard time trying to. Yep, he finally tried to position that explosion to do the quick kill on the machine. Meanwhile, Ari he finally finds the air shooter for the first phase. The question is, yeah, there we go. We're trying to survive here. He does find Crash. He's trying to do the quick kill just as Snape did. Trying to get out of this as quickly as possible. But right now, Snape is pretty much towards the end of Victory Road here and is about to face our alien here. It's gonna take a pretty clumsy effort for Snape to lose this. It can happen, but we definitely ain't wishing it. As we get a surprise capsule for our alien. It's not Buster. So now it's all about trying to find that weakness and trying to find it quicker than your opponent. Will Snape be able to find that weakness quicker than Ari? Will he survive the fight before finding the weakness? The longer Snape tries to find things, the more time Ari takes to save himself, but it looks like a little bit too late on Ari's end. Snape winds up finding the Metal Blades, being the useful weapon on the capsule, and he wins the first of our best of 3 with official racetime.gg time of 32 minutes and 15 seconds. Meanwhile, Ari is also doing the big weapon dig. Finally finds our Metal Blades. And he should be able to take out our capsule in short order. And he does with official racetime.gg time of 32 minutes and 50 seconds. So very close race between these two. So, of course, once again, as I already alluded to, this is our first of our best of 3. Will we see Ari make a comeback and take one from Snape to force a game 3? Or will Snape continue this momentum and just end it right here and get the 2-0 victory on Ari We'll find out in a moment as we get set for that race too. So sit back, hang tight, and we'll be back for that race. And we are back. Welcome everyone on Speed Gaming. This is your boy LV Creed here, bringing you match two of our best of three in the bracket phase of our Mega Man 2 randomizer tournament for the Speed Gaming Live 2023. As you saw from race one, Zneip was able to pretty much take the reins from Ari and was able to get round one off of Ari, but now it's up to Ari to try to balance and even that scale and try to force a race three. Ari's been around these tournaments for a while, so he definitely has the means and experience to know to recover. But Zneip, who's technically a relative newcomer to our tournaments first tournament appearance, he's shown to be extremely scrappy and shown that he is not going to go down lightly. So Ari may have an uphill battle to climb as we are off and both our runners once again going to quick man stage. For those that aren't usually known with the routing, especially since we have our flags of our stage select screens having our robot master name seen, so our people do know where our robot masters are. Stages like Quick and Flash tend to be the first stages to go, and you're about to see right on both our runners' ends. There's very easy to grab E-Tank, and you'll probably see our boys go to Flash or Metal next. Having those safeties is very vital to the survival of this randomizer, because even while this tournament is set on easy mode, as you can see, there are definitely some situations where this game can throw you a lot of brutal curveballs and can just wreck your hide at any given moment. But for right now, our runners are doing the wrecking right now, as they both are now going through the force beam section of Quickman stage. Of course, the quick beams are pretty much it. Zneip! Speaking a little too soon. Either he thought he was at a health deficit and decided to go for the energy, or it was just a little bit too soft on the left press, touching the energy. It just wasn't ready to move after the fill-up animation ended. That puts Zneip quite a ways back. Meanwhile, Ari's dealing with this Woodman who is pretty durable and pretty much requires you to try to get into his shield to pretty much pop him off. So right now, Ari already with the early lead and gets item 3 as an early item to gain as he goes to Flash. Zneip, beaten, battered, and wounded, finally getting to the Quickman boss corridor where he's about to fight his Woodman battle. And Ari, as anticipated, going to Flash, seeing one of the worst possible enemy configurations with these blockies, where their heads are right in the area where Rochan in this time around is unable to shoot him. He does have a weapon. He could have possibly used the weapon to see if he was able to lessen the blows. With the answer in chat, of course, not dying is always something to benefit you in these matches. However, just knowing how to just traverse and adapt to any enemy configuration that comes your way is probably the most important benefit of dealing with a randomizer of this kind of scale and magnitude. Because the fact that you could get situations like you saw in Flashman stage, as you get a Heatman sighting, you really want to know how to get through each and any area as fast as possible, efficiently as possible, and hopefully not banged up too much so you can at least make it to the checkpoint if you want to make a strategic death there to start afresh. But yeah, this Heatman is not particularly kind. At the beginning of the level, unfortunately not. Because the Time Stopper is still... Ooh, item 2! We're already going to get 2 items right off the bat for our runners. As Zneip is about to take on the Heatman fight. But yeah, as you can see, the blockies will not move. Remember, the Time Stopper, all it does is just stop time. it doesn't make anything easier to try to get by those blockies. So unfortunately, Time Stopper will be of little to no help for that beginning of that screen. The best that you possibly do as Ari takes a unfortunate spill early in Airman stage is used. You saw that there were like those rabbits early on in Flash. You always want to try to utilize something that will give you the least amount of damage. It's kind of like taking the lesser of two evils in that regard. And somehow I have not for some reason I have not updated Zneip's stuff. Let's fix that, shall we? But yeah, a little bit of a route divergence. As you saw, Ari is taking care of Airman stage, having item 2 in tow, hoping to use item 2 to skip a number of areas above all the stuff that's below an Airman stage. Meanwhile, Zneip is going true to form and going to Bubble Man stage. Once again, since zips are banned, you will not be able to take that upper portion to get by this stage. But it seems like, as far as Ari's traversal go in air, it looks like it's gonna be pretty easy. A lot of space monkeys flying to their home planet, and about to quickly go to the Airman boss room. Meanwhile, Zneip managing to catch up a little bit of time thanks to Ari's mistake. First, the vanilla Airman, who's a durable boy, but it's pretty much a one pass with the air shooter, getting right up to his face. Little bit sketchy, but able to survive. Gets no item, so item 1's gonna remain at large unless it's in Bubble Man stage, where Zneip is able to get all his weapons, all his items at once. Nope. So for right now, item 1 is pretty much the only item right now that's gonna be at large. So right now we got Ari taking care of Metal Man stage. Once again, gonna hope to use item 2, especially for the second half of the stage. Meanwhile, Zneip is dealing with the chicken forest, as the non-stop chicken buffet pretty much tried to gang up on Zneip, but unfortunately the damage is so favorable that it pretty much not much of an issue. Once again, the amount of damage that's dealt to each and every enemy is pretty much randomized except for a set number of enemies. They have a quick boomerang in tow, opting to use it to quickly dispatch defenders as he about to start his way at the top of the treehouse. Meanwhile, Space Monkeys, Ari doing some skillful jumping, making sure that the sprite was off screen in order to not get sniped by Space Monkeys and still stay in the item 2. Extremely skillful play on Ari as he goes to a vanilla metal and metal. To the durable boy. So it's gonna be a bit of a damage race, a race that Ari should win. Meanwhile, Zneip is taking care of enemies at the top of the treehouse here. Looks like it was a lot of mess and shot men, and a bird or two. Banged up Zneip a little bit though. So hopefully Zneip has at least an E-tank. There we go. Make sure it has a couple of E-tanks to use so he's able to survive the final stretches to get to the Woodman room. Meanwhile, Ari going back to familiar territory. Oh, Zneip thinking he was gonna be using item 2. Almost able to pull an Ari, able to do some very skillful jumping to pretty much maximize the item 2 usage, because there were actually modes behind those tree backgrounds, and that is usually very hard to try to get a good fly off of. Oh, unfortunately, Zneip gets an unfortunate surprise as we find Huggles in the one-man room, but was able to dispatch him pretty quickly. with a solid weakness. I wasn't sure if it was Buster or not. But regardless of the matter, our Huggles bubble was quickly dispatched and it was able to be taken care of as Zneip is going to Metal Man stage. So for right now, our runners are pretty much running stride for stride here, and I think at this point we have seen every single stage up this point except for Heat and Crash. And Item 1 is still up for grabs. So just like the first race, we're going to have ourselves a good old 50-50 to see if Item 1 is either in Heat or Crash. And we saw that it proved to Zneip's benefit as Item 1 was actually found in Crash. Will it be in Crash this time around? We definitely won't know until we find out. But for right now, we haven't gotten to that point yet as Ari still has the Woodman to take care of. They trying to use that Item 2 to take care of these space monkeys, but unfortunately winds up getting tagged by one of them. And gets tagged again. So unfortunately, no good Item 2 fly for Zneip as he had to just settle for a good old walk in the Metal Factory where Metal Man is about to await for battle. Meanwhile, Ari's trying to use Metal Blaze. Metal Blaze not being all that beneficial. It looks like it's not spammy. Definitely one shot and it definitely didn't work on these dogs. They trying to use Bubble. Yeah, gotta get off that bubble. Look like Quick Boomerang ain't doing all that better. And due to the trajectory of the... Oh, goodness! Air Shooter is saying no and just annihilates Metal Man. Looks like it's potential to be one of our either great or ultimate weaknesses. Unfortunately, the health was a little bit too low on Metal Man to actually determine if it was a great or ultimate weakness. But once again, Zneip finding a very solid weakness that he can use for the refights, as he uses Item 2 to fly over the first portion of Airman stage. Of course, you could always use Item 2 in either or in Airman stage, depending on the enemy placement. I much prefer to use it for the second half, but that's always a prerogative choice. Meanwhile, Ari trying to survive the rest of the mole-infested Woodman's room. And now he's about to find out the bad news that he's about to deal with the Huggles. But it does have Metal. Unfortunately, Metal is not gonna cut it. Wildly opting to use the juice box, but he's gonna stick with Metal. Metal probably be one of the best weapons to use for this kind of fight, if only for the fact that it's a weapon that can hit up close. So you don't have to worry about doing any kind of movement or dodging. Can I say I love how randomizers can just know which music to play at the right moments? Zneip taking out Airman in Airman's room. Following not too far behind, but here we are at the 50-50. And it's pretty much the same exact situation. We got Ari going to Heat first, having Item 2 in tow. You're gonna utilize that for the Yoku platforms. Meanwhile, Zneip gonna use Item 2 to try to get by the platforming in Crashman stage. Whoever gets Item 1 could have a pretty decent benefit for their final stage. Meanwhile, Ari struggling a little bit with these Buster immune tellies. While Zneip is trying to use item 2 to its maximum potential in Crashman stage, hoping not to get plucked off by these shot men as he tried to get out of these rooms as quickly as possible. Oh! Zneip fortunately was able to not to get picked off by that final shot man, and now it's pretty much on the way to the second half of Crash. Meanwhile, Ari doing the old natural item 2 fly beyond the Yokus is about to see who's in Heatman's room. Currently still has the slight advantage, but about to see if the advantage will be even more beneficial if item 1 is in this stage. But first things first, gotta take care of a Flash, who is soft Buster Week, but he has no E-tanks. He might have to be forced to. Yep, he gonna have to be forced to take the death. A low jumping Crash is very annoying to deal with, very hard to dodge. Even though he's a quick runner, you pretty much gotta work on how to jump over him. Meanwhile, Zneip is using item 3 to his best possible benefit, using the pause cancelling addition that we have in the randomizer. And once again, Ari gets unlucky with the item 1 placement, finding out that item 1 is here in Crash, where Zneip is going to get it after he beats up our final Robot Master. I think we haven't found Quickman yet. Nope, it's Crash that we haven't found yet. I hope we have a few Professor Layton fans in chat right now. They taking care of Crashman stage, getting item 1 for his reward once again. After to take the coin flip and working towards his benefit. Meanwhile, Ari doing the same item 2 strats that Zneip was forced to implement. Now taking on the second half of Crash. Meanwhile, Zneip is taking care of Heatman stage. Has a bit of a ways to go, but getting a little bit slowed down by the enemies. All these Joe Rabbits and the birds kind of preventing forward progress here. Ooh, it doesn't help that these rabbits are extremely durable to the Buster. Already doing the item 3 climb once again, thanks to the new pause mechanics. We're able to pause out of our weapons at will. At least I thought this was. I'm pretty sure I thought this was Professor Layton's theme. If it's not, then forgive me for misinformation. I do not like spreading misinformation. So if I am spreading misinformation, I sincerely apologize. But I do know we do have Professor Layton's theme in the randomizer. But what we do have that I know that is the information is that we have all 8 Robot Masters down on Ari's end. We got ourselves our first person into. Now we officially do have Dr. Wily in Dr. Wily's castle. So once again, it is that time, ladies and gentlemen. As we go to the Temple of Fiends in the distance, we have a Mecha Dragon that we like for you to guess. Once again, for those that like to have a little fun, guess that color, guess that weakness, and guess that sprite. And for those that weren't here the first time and would like to know our Mecha Dragon sprites, it is as follows. As always, we do have our Vanilla Dragon. The classic Vanilla sprite will always be here. It will never go away. But we also have an Evil Eyes Dragon based on Rockman No Constancy. We also have a dragon that is sporting a neat pair of shades. Our Dragon Corn, our dragon with a unicorn horn. Our ever-loving, meme-loving Oats Dragon. and our sweet looking swag dragon. Those are your 6 choices. Along with those 6, as said before, guess that color and the weakness. Have fun, chat, as we see Ari pretty much taking to the lead right now using the item 1. The item 1 being our only randomized item that has a randomized attribute. Items 2 and 3 remain untouched as they are definitely necessary to progress throughout the rest of the game. And we do not want to softlock ourselves and make the game unbeatable. That would be a bad thing. Anyway, Ari about to face off against our dragon, sponsored by Warner Brothers. And that is a mostly purple vanilla dragon with some extra color highlights. Not weak to any weapon on the first page. And is weak to vanilla quicks, decimating in short order. Ari first off to take care of the first stage, about to go to our second stage. Zneip is about to do the usual second page grind, hoping that the second page will bear fruit. Unfortunately, we know that at least Quick Boomerang is one of our 2 weaknesses for our Mega Dragon. I don't know if Ari tried Buster though. I didn't get to pay attention that much. I'm pretty sure about to find out on Snape's end. Nope. He about to find Quick in a moment. He does find Quick Boomerang. Unfortunately, we do not know that second weakness, but it really doesn't matter. It looks like that was Leaf Shield, which was the wall weakness. So Ari having information for the Boo Beam fight, which is a bit of a blessing and a curse. A blessing because we do know that is a wall weakness, but it's also a curse because it takes away one of the potential god weaknesses for the Boo Beam, so you don't even have to worry about the walls to begin with. Metal is still available, but fortunately, air is a good vertical air, so hopefully they will try to use Air Shooter for the Boo Beams. But first things first, we got a Pico fight. It looks like he's weak to Crash, but Crash is not one-shot, so he finds Bubble. Bubble might be the way to go here. It has a good weapon consumption, so definitely don't want to miss. Pretty good arc height as well. But as I say, you definitely don't want to miss. There is one more potential weakness here, and I don't know if Ari used Buster as well. Buster definitely could be usable. This is insanely tragic! Did Ari have a e-ticket store? He got greedy! Ari got insanely greedy! Pico is one of the fights you do not want to be overzealous on. Each Pico unit hits insanely hard. It deals immense amount of damage. You never want to underestimate the Picos or overestimate your skill. That's how many races can be won or lost. Ari trying to find another weakness. He finally finds that it's Crash, but it's a 2-shotter, and I don't think the explosion duration was all that great either. But right now, Zneip once again taking advantage of Ari's mistakes. About to take care. Well, if Pico wants to be a little bit Pico doing a little bit of juking and dodging on Snape's end. But for right now, Ari's mistakes are costing him. Finding charged heat as the second weakness. This time, Ari finally whipping out that E-tank, making sure that he lives. And this was probably why people didn't check heat all that well. It was an extremely long charging heat. So our runners probably didn't get the full charge when they were trying to fire on the Picos. Also, that is correct. Enemy damage is not currently randomized. So all damage for each and every enemy is standard. Though it definitely would be interesting. I do know of another Mega Man Rando that does have that capability. But at the moment, we're at the here and now, and Zneip is about to fight our Guts tank. Ari's just a couple of screens behind. As the Technodrome tank comes back for revenge. And it's not weak to the busters, so we're doing one more weapon dive. I didn't go for second page. Nope, it's something that's in the first page. And it's Air Shooter. Air Shooter is one of our weaknesses. There are two potential weaknesses, and Ari closes the gap a little bit quickly, finding Air Shooter much sooner than Zneip. So in this case, for Ari, his experience not only in the Randomizer but also in Vanilla Mega Man 2 will benefit him a lot. Ari, also known for his vanilla zipless runs, he does know his way around Mega Man 2, but unfortunately, he doesn't seem to know his way around the springy, as it gets sent right back down to a screen below. Once again, Ari mistakes are patting Zneip's lead, as Zneip is about to take care of these areas where there are randomized holes for these fake platforms. But fortunately, we do have items to just ignore it completely. But for right now, they've been... Ari rolling the dice, going a little bit too high. That definitely could have been a spot where the fake floor could have been, and Ari would have been even further back again. But fortunately, the RNG gods proved a little bit more favorable towards Ari, and Ari, just like Zneip, is in our anxiety rooms, where it doesn't feel like anxiety this time around. It looks like it's gonna be like short rest stops. Right now, Zneip has safe passage, opting to take damage on the telly to continue onward. Will Ari follow suit? Oh, a little. Ooh, thought it was a little bit too high. Ari's able to escape. Now Ari's gonna sit back and just wait for the time to make the jumps. And both our runners do know the wall weaknesses, so they both know that Leaf Shield is a wall weakness. But will they check? Yep, Zneip does have Air Shooter. He does know of his verticality. Is it useful? Got this, see. Check metal. Nope. So right now we do have a weapons dig, because like I said, our final potential god weakness is our wall weakness in a Leaf Shield. Probably best case scenario? Nope, it's not Buster. So we're pretty much on a full weapons dive. And it's Vanilla Crash! Already taking a little bit of time. He has no crash! Ari with the weapon mismanagement. Did not take the chance to fill up on Crash along the way. This is a disaster scenario for Ari, as Zneip was able to be in a position to not use too much crash and gets out of the boobing fight in short order. That's gotta be... It's gotta be heartbreaking. And I want to say it comes down to who died the least. This definitely came down to weapon management. Ari trying to use crash on the most likely on the Pico units just opted not to, for some reason, not refill his crash. Dying is usually the end result of these mistakes, but it's the mistakes themselves, and not necessarily the deaths that lead to them, that causes Ari's predicament. So Ari in an extreme nightmare scenario here, while Zneip is well deep into the refights already. It's basically Zneip's race to lose at this point. Is it already beyond halfway done with the Robot Master refights? And Ari has not been trying to farm that weapon energy. And I did not get to see how much crash is needed, because weapon ammo is randomized for each and every weapon. Fortunately, all the walls are down, so he doesn't have to use too much more. Let's see. Ooh, that was a lot of crash energy. So yeah, Ari was in a rough situation at the start. Anyway, Zneip down with our rematches. Now about to face Wily once again, not Buster Weak. Out to the search for weaknesses. As far as quick boomerang, is it weak for the second phase? Nope, it's not our god weakness. Finds bubble instead. Why is the altitude to use the E-tank to make sure that he survives the fight? And with just one stage away from a 2-0 sweep from Zneip, a relative newcomer to the rando, pretty much going way deep, almost guaranteed to get into the second round of play after beating this stage. But of course, before then, we got one alien, we got one weakness. It's up to Zneip to find that weakness to defeat our upcoming alien and win this one for this match. Alright, we got Zneip into the room. What kind of alien sound are we gonna get? Oh, we get no alien. Wally's just bucking up. He bucking down. He taking matters into his own hands. He's just gonna get blown off. Base blows him off. Air shooter weakness. Very fast kill. Zneip not only wins this race, but wins the match. 2-0 against Ari. GG's to Zneip. Moving on in the bracket. Guaranteed, I want to say a semi-final spot. Yep, guaranteed a semi-final spot. Where in the bracket, as I'm looking right now, he will be facing up against Charlie Boy. So GG to Zneip. It's always good to see newcomers rise to the occasion. As we see if I can get Zneip in for an interview here in a short moment. It'll be a quick moment right now as Ari is able to take care of the rematches on his last one. Alright, now taking care of his refights. About to take on the Wild Machine proper. But again, we already know that Quick Boomerang was one of the weaknesses. He finds that quick enough. Gonna realize that is not the weakness for the second. Instantly goes to Bubble. There we go, as we find Ari about to go to Victory Road here. There's a few more screens that we have Ari finish up. But once again, GG to our runners here. They perform admirably. Of course, always be sure to follow our runners, assuming if the boss even up. Nope! Looks like the boss down. But certainly, follow our runners. They have performed very, very well. Ari finally coming around the finish line. Finishing with a time of 36 minutes, 19 seconds. GG's to Ari, but again, it is Zneip that is the victor for this day, as we're trying to wait to get our boys in for their interview here. As we're trying to see about our runners in a little bit. But yeah, we have confirmation that Ari will not be joining us. He has a prior engagement to take care of, so Ari will not be getting in. And while Ari is unable to make it to the commentator's booth, I do have Zneip with me, relishing in his victory. Now, how you doing, Zneip?
I'm feeling really good. I felt like I was behind the whole race after I dropped on Quickman getting that help.
Yeah, that early death did set you back quite a bit, but later on, Ari had some pretty big issues on his own, dying not only to the Pico units at the very last moment, but also had some mismanagement on the boo beams, had no crash to finish the fight. So yeah, a lot of mistakes cost Ari, but the main deal is you stuck with what you needed to do, and you were still able to get the 2-0 victory.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So go about how you feel about these seeds. How things pretty much work towards you. Anything noticeable? How do you feel? You know, the whole 9 yards.
I think that Pico in the last one was the worst Pico I ever had. And I almost died at the dragon in the first one, but other than that, it went pretty smoothly.
Yeah, well, see, the second Pico caused a lot of issues, and I think one of the main components was that Ari ended up finding that charge heat one-shotted the the Pico units for the second seed, it was a really long charge. And I think that probably messed up some of the thought processes of using it as a potential weakness. But like I said, regardless of the matter, you were still able to get business done. Was able to complete the seed and the race.
Yeah, I thought the heat was 2 shots or something, so I just switched over.
But yeah, with that, you newcomer to the randomizer tournament, first time coming, and already to the semifinals in the brackets. How does that make you feel?
I can't believe it. Who's Charlie next?
Yep, Charlie Boy is next on the docket.
We better beware.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear. Show that confidence. Charlie Boy, I'm pretty sure Charlie Boy definitely ain't gonna be slacking off either. But as with any randomizer race, anything can happen. It's up to you and the randomizer to pretty much work in cohesiveness as much as the rando probably don't want to, and to see how this match will end up selling itself. But yeah, if you have any other parting words about the seeds or just anything else to your opponent Ari, who once again wasn't able to make it as he has something to do after the race, and just have at it. The floor is yours.
I don't have anything special to say. Just GG's to Ari, and it was great racing him. I've been dreading this because he's so good, and well, the most of the guys I've met this year has been really good. So looking forward to the next one.
All right, and thank you for participating in this race and performed very well. I'm looking forward to your race against Charlie Boy, and we'll see what happens with that one coming up. But yeah, that will conclude for our broadcast of this Mega Man 2 Randomizer Tournament race this day. We do not have another race scheduled for this moment, as we were waiting, at least for Charlie Boy, we were waiting for this match to see who Charlie Boy was facing, and as you have seen, it is indeed going to be Zneip versus Charlie Boy in our first semifinal match. We're still waiting for Casual Tom and Bob X to see who will win in that match to go against Man in the First Row in the second half of the semifinals. Hopefully we'll have that race ready for you as soon as possible. Of course, if there's anything that goes on, we will act accordingly, and we will let you know if any changes occur. But for that, I want to thank Speedgaming and its network of channels on Twitch for once again letting us showcase and sponsor our tournament. Once again, for Speedgaming Live. For those that aren't aware of how Speedgaming Live works, there is a prize pool attached. If you so feel to find information on Speedgaming, you can add to that prize pool. The more added to the prize pool, the more bonus funds we will get if we are amongst the next tier of tournament races to get that bonus pot. But of course, only feel free to do so if you want to. We do not require you to add funds if you are not financially unable or just feel like you don't want to. The choice is yours. You're free to make them, but if you want to, please look up Speedgaming for info on adding to that prize pool. But for right now, once again, thanks to Duckfist, who was the originator of the randomizer before he stepped down, and let the community build upon the randomizer that you see currently right now. All the devs like Squidman and Daggett, all the contributors like Charlie Boy, where a lot of the sprite improvements come from. People like Quantum, who gave us all the variety of music that you hear in the randomizer, and everyone else that gave ideas and pitched in. We're a very small group, but we're a dedicated group, and I'm very glad to be a part of it. Speaking of which, this was your boy LV Creed here, doing the solo work for this randomizer tournament this time around, and I'm glad for y'all to participate in y'all's viewership. Once again, stay tuned and keep your eye on Speedgaming and its family of channels for the final versions of the randomizer, which it does include semifinals, a bronze medal match for third place, and the grand finals that should be coming up soon. But until then, have a good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you may be in this world of ours. Take good care of yourselves, and until the next time, fare thee well.